Welcome to the next installment of my video lecture series in economics. And in this particular video lecture, I'm going to be taking a look at individual to market demand and adding some algebra into the mix here. So here I have a very simple market. There's only two individuals in this market, individual 0 and individual 1. So we have their individual demand curves and we have them graphed out here on this particular graph here. So the important thing, and there's an important visualization technique that can be very helpful if you're struggling with this particular notion of going from individual to market demand, and that is to draw in a horizontal line starting at the price of the demand curve that intersects price at the lower amount. So for example, here D0 intersects at a price of 4 while D1 intersects at a price of 8. If you draw a horizontal line here at the price of 4, this shows you where the kink in the market demand curve is going to be. So for prices of $4 to $8, the market demand only includes demand 1. All right? For prices above that, the individual represented by demand curve sub-0 is going to be 0 or negative. So it is not included in the market demand curve. And then going from this point forward, if we take a look at prices of 0 to $4, the market demand curve is the summation of D sub-0 and D sub-1. So you just add D0 and D sub-0 and D sub-1 together, and you get Q is equal to 120 minus 25p. So this is an important technique because it shows you where the kink in the market demand curve is going to occur when you have you're adding two demand curves together. And it gives you a notion of how there's going to be two different demand functions. There's one demand function for prices between 4 and 8, which is only D1. And for prices between 0 and 4, you have a separate demand function, which is the summation of D0 and D1. Because for prices between 4 and 0, the market demand curve constitutes both D0 and D1. Now, some of the problems that you might see will ask you, well, what is the quantity demanded in the market at different prices? And by doing this, you can see what the demand function is going to look like at different prices. So for prices from 4 to 8, the market demand is only equivalent to D1, and it's equal to Q is equal to 40 minus 5p. So for example, if you were asked to determine what the market quantity demanded is at a price of 6, you would just place 6 in place of P here, and you would get 40 minus 30, so the 30 being 5 times 6. So the quantity demanded at a price of 6 is going to be equal to 10. And then if you're asked for questions, or if you're asked some questions for prices between 0 and 4, you know that the demand function for that price range is the market demand is equal to D sub-0 plus D sub-1, which gives you Q equals 120 minus 25p. So for example, if you were asked to give the market quantity demanded at a price of 2, you would place it in that demand function for that relevant prices. So you would put 2 in here, and you would get 120 minus 50, the 50 coming from 25 multiplied by 2, and the market quantity demanded at a price of 2 would then be equal to 70. So just realize that if you're having issues with coming up with what the market demand curve looks like and coming up with the quantities, building yourself a little graph like this can be incredibly helpful for you to delineate how the market demand function is different for different ranges of prices for that particular market demand curve.